Boatworks today is sponsored by Total Boat and Alexseal Yacht Coatings, as well as supported by the generosity from the beautiful folks over on Patreon. Thank you so much. And 1, 2, 3. Zach, you are awesome. I am totally stealing this trick from now on. So welcome back, everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic weekend. My name is Andy with Boatworks today, and in this video I'm going to show you basically how to fix some screw-ups. Now, if you remember in the last video when I was reskinning this boat, there was one area in particular that I knew was going to be a problem child, and oh boy, did it not disappoint. So, meandering our way up towards the bow here, yeah, this little mohawk thing going on here, yeah, that's not supposed to be like that. Nope, not at all. In fact, I think I can honestly say that's probably one of the worst glass jobs I think I've ever done. So now I have no idea what was going through my head when I was originally cutting this, because obviously when you get to a point like this, you don't want to cut the glass right, basically along that edge, because there isn't going to be anything left for it to kind of flop over on the other side and lay down flat, which is why I've got the little mohawk thing going on here. But one of the beautiful things about working with fiberglass, and I tell this with everybody that I work with over on Patreon, when someone's doing this for the first time, there's bound to be mistakes. And basically what I always reinforce is that the nice thing about working with fiberglass is that for the most part, there's really nothing that you can do that can't easily be fixed. Oh, I just realized you're within a camera. You're in a camera within a camera. Hi. But anyways, so this, although this looks like a hot mess here, it's really not that big a deal. We're going to walk through the process of basically how to correct this. Now, the way that we're going to be approaching this is essentially going to be identical for any other area that you would have to repair, whether it's going to be like dry spots or just whatever it may happen to be. The process is going to be pretty much identical step for step. So now the basic overview on how to manage this is actually quite simple. Essentially, we're going to come in and remove the messed up areas. I'm going to try and keep this clean. So we're going to remove what's messed up and then replace it with new glass. Now, there is one little twist on this as far as how you handle the glass, which is going to make this process quite a bit smoother, and it'll save you quite a bit of sanding and, well, more so on the fairing side of things. But we'll get into more of that when we actually get to that step. Now, if you notice here, all of this, none of this has been sealed, so this is still technically a laminating type surface. So when I'm sanding or grinding this down, I'm probably going to go through a few sheets of sandpaper. Hopefully it's not too bad, because this is still a laminating surface. It may have a tendency to kind of gum up the paper a little faster than it should, but that's right. I didn't want to go through and do the gel coat twice. So let me get my equipment rolled over here and set up and get this taken care of. Now, before we jump into this, I just want to give a huge thank you over to Total Boat for getting the materials out to me so quickly. If you recall, I may have underestimated my materials in the last video, so that was on me. But they got everything turned around very, very quickly, actually way faster than Amazon. So with that said, if you're going to be looking for any materials for your own projects, I strongly or highly recommend you give these folks a call. I will have a link down below in the description. It is an affiliate link. I just got to be upfront about that one. It doesn't cost you anything more, and it's an easy way to support this channel, and I guarantee you'll be happy with the product. So with that said, let me get everything moved around here, and let's get itchy. So I was trying to figure out why the dust collection at the sander here was not sucking, or sucking, I guess, depending on how you look at it. And it turns out that this little container here, it's full. Now this is it's a Cyclone dust separator, basically. It's made by Oneida. I think they call it their dust deputy. Now this isn't a sponsored thing or anything like that. I'll try and remember to put a link down at least to their website. Again, it doesn't benefit me one way or the other whether you buy it or not. But It does make a big difference on extending the filter life on your vacuum here. Now, they claim that it separates something like 99 point something percent. I don't know that I quite buy that, but it does separate almost all of it. You know, I don't know that I'd say 99 point something, probably like closer to like 95. But the one downside is that when this thing gets full, then it dumps in and it plugs the filter on the vacuum. Now, that's my fault. I haven't checked this thing in, I don't know, a few months. Whenever it starts to lose its suction here, then I kind of check it out, and well, but I can tell by the weight, this thing has got to weigh about 40 pounds. I'm guessing that this is just full. So let me get this cleaned out. Let me get a new filter in here, and let's just try this again. All right, well, let me zoom in here so you guys can get a better peek as to how this sanding turned out here. So right now, all along this entire, I guess, the cutting edge or leading edge, everything is ground down to a nice even taper. I don't feel any kind of high spots or bumps or ridges, so the new glass should just lay right over this, flat as can be. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, the way that I'm going to work this glass is going to determine how flat it's actually going to lay. And because we're working with chop strand, rather than cutting it, I'm going to, well, you know what? I'll just show you. So I got a little chunk of chop strand matting here. This is 1.5 ounce chop strand. And, you know, typically when you see me working with fabric, you usually see me actually cut it. You know, I've got those little electric shears. However, with chop strand being manufactured or made the way that it is, it actually tears by hand quite easily. And that's kind of an important key. That's kind of the trick. To try and lay down new material on top of old, but yet still get that perfect, nice little, I guess, transition from this layer onto the existing without getting that little hump, you know. So as an example here, if you look at this edge right here where it's cut hard, when you lay this down, you're still going to be able to feel that after it's wet out. However, on this side, which I've already torn, and I need to come around and do this to the other 3 remaining sides, but when you look at this side that's been torn, you see all these little wisps of glass that are sticking up. Well, what these are going to do when it's all wetted out, it's going to create essentially a natural ramp for this glass just to taper off and transition pretty much seamlessly into the surrounding area. So when I'm coming around, when I'm looking at a situation like this, I'm going to come around on all 4 sides of this patch, and I'm going to tear each edge so that it's all frayed and wispy just like this, because then that's just going to end up saving me an extra step on the fairing process, which any step that you can save is going to save you more time, and it's going to get the project done faster. Now, a couple other things before I actually start getting this surface cleaned and resin mixed up here. I want to talk about 2 things. One is the actual width of the material that I'm using here. Now, even though I'm only glassing an area that's maybe, what, 3-4 inches wide, give or take, if I'm only working with a strip that's that narrow, there isn't going to be enough material on the sides to actually want to hold this down to the hull. So if you can make your piece wider, where you've got a good 5-6 inches on either side, that's just going to create more surface contact, and it's going to want to make this glass lay down flat and actually stick to the hull rather than have one side, want to do a little gopher and poke his head up here. So make it wider than what you need, so that way it'll lay against the hull. And then while I've got it here, I'm actually just going to kind of just roughly lay this down and just make little marks as to how far out the glass is going to extend, just so that when I'm wetting this surface out initially, I'm not wetting out a larger area than I need to and wasting resin. Now, most likely when I'm laying this down, it's going to want to kind of buckle a little bit, you know, probably right in through here. So I'll probably have to tear in some relief tears. It's easier for you to see than it is for me to try and explain it. But so if you see me last minute when I'm wetting this out, kind of come in and kind of tear a little, you know, basically a little seam right in through here on either side. It's just going to be so that the two faces or whatever can kind of overlap as needed. So we'll see. All right, so in total here, I went through 16 ounces of resin to wet out this single piece of chop strand matting. And I would say that this section of the glass was roughly, I don't know, maybe 4 feet long and maybe 16, 18 inches wide, give or take. Now, in the end, it ended up actually turning out pretty well. However, as you saw, there were some little areas right in here where it was kind of buckling, and it really wasn't cooperating at all. All right, so one of the things about working with chop strand is, at least here in the US, chop strand it's held together with like a styrene-based binder, right? So when you add a styrene-based product, such as polyester resin or vinyl ester, that binder breaks down. And that's really the only thing that allowed me to, or that allowed this glass to kind of lay back down in those areas where it was kind of starting to pucker a little bit. Give it enough resin to actually break down that binder, and then you keep working that surface, working that glass. The glass will kind of shift, and it will find where it wants to go to lay down, and that's really about it. I mean, it wasn't any magic or anything like that. That's one of the nice things about working with chop strand, is that it is very forgiving on difficult contours, I guess. But the thing to remember there is, you got to make sure you give it enough resin. I mean, you don't want it saturated to where it's just running down after it's laid, but you got to give it enough resin to break down the binders in that chop strand. Those fibers themselves will kind of shift and find where they need to be in order to kind of lay flat. So with that said, I think I am going to mix up some gel coat and get this coated. I'm going to probably do that off camera just because, well, you've seen me do this a number of times, and what I'm going to be using to do that is going to be right. This stuff. It's white gel coat with wax. And again, just a quick little recap, you need to have wax in there to cure a laminating surface, which is what we did all of our glasswork here. So I think this is going to be a good place to end this video. So as always, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found this helpful. And if you did, please hit that thumbs up button. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Thank you in advance. If you have any questions, comments, leave those down below and I'll do my best to get back with you. And until next week, thank you for your time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. A little redundant, but have a great weekend.
This has been a Boatworks Today production.